Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And I wanted to go back to this older article from December 2021. And for those of you that are new to the channel, I wanted to bring this up and emphasize this again. And there's quite a few of you that are new. So T-Mobile's 5G network leadership strategy hinges on 90% coverage, including rural America. So I wanted to put an emphasis on that because this is very important for T-Mobile and what they have guided publicly. This is what they're now saying publicly. So when you say that publicly, you will be held to that come time of, the dates and time frames that you gave. And then it'll either be a positive for the company or a negative. So this is more of a make or break for T-Mobile because, as I've said in plenty of videos, the urban core, even some of the suburban core now is saturated. There's tons and tons of competition, MVNOs, prepaid, the carriers themselves, the MNOs. There's just so much competition now, and everybody's trying to be competitive. Here's $1,000 off if you port in 5 lines. Here's $15 off single line customers. Everybody's trying to compete for the switching pool for the customer. So I wanted to point this out, and then I wanted to also go to what's very important here, the T-Mobile 5G 5-year 5G network plan. Now this is important because now T-Mobile is going to have to compete in other markets and areas that they have never competed in. It's a very simple, straightforward strategy. So maintaining the 5G leadership in the 5G area, that's debatable. You can debate this all day long. Will it be Verizon? Will it be AT&T? Will it be T-Mobile? We can debate about that all day long. So these are some of the talking points. Recent C-band investment further positioned T-Mobile's superiority for 5G era. So all T-Mobile now has to do moving forward, since they got the large amounts of N41, they just really have to supplement. They don't have to be the leading bidder in any mid-band auction moving forward. They just have to supplement their already existing holdings. Already delivering 5G across more geographic coverage than AT&T and Verizon combined. Again, that will be short-lived. AT&T and Verizon are forcing themselves in there with brute force. There's a lot of capital going into this over a 2-year period. T-Mobile, for example, T-Mobile's spending about $40 billion over a 5-year period. AT&T is spending that in 2 years. They're spending $48 billion over 2 years. And same with Verizon. They're spending around the same amount of capital, but in a shorter time. So they're spending more. There's more capital pressure coming towards T-Mobile. So I think that's going to be short-lived. The geographical 5G coverage, that's short-lived. All Verizon and AT&T have to do is go to their existing sites and upgrade those radios. That's going to be very quick across the United States. Only operator to have deployed dedicated mid-band spectrum for 5G. That as well is going to be short-lived. And that's already short-lived because that's already happening now. Verizon and AT&T are deploying C-band spectrum, and it's already on air. So this article is a bit outdated, but I'm updating it as I go along. And this is just me pointing this out to some of the users that are new to the channel or subscribers. So those were some of those talking points. So significantly expanding addressable markets. And this is where I want to kind of key in. So T-Mobile's superior 5G network to unlock growth opportunities in new markets, deepen relationship with customers, and take the competition to cable. So they're talking about fixed wireless access. I didn't want to kind of tie that into this because that's just naturally going to happen by default. As they expand coverage and they add N41 to that coverage in these addressable markets, they're going to go for fixed wireless access customers, and they're growing that by the numbers. And that's what's interesting about this whole thing. A lot of people are still questioning. A lot of people are saying this, that, and the third. The numbers are showing you it's happening. T-Mobile gets there. T-Mobile is very good at guiding. They have been good at guiding during LTE, and they always met or exceeded their guidance. So here it is. Plans to increase share of smaller markets in rural areas to nearly 20% in the next 5 years. They're going to get there. They are going to get there. They're already at 15% now. They're at 15% as it stands. They grew 2% just from national advertising alone. So right now, after the first quarter, 2022, they're at 15%. So that means they need another 5% by 2025. And I'm already hearing they're gaining traction even in the second quarter. They added 30% of new customers that activated a postpaid phone happened in the rural small town market. So you tell me if they're going to hit the 20% or not. They're going to crush that 20%, in my opinion. I'm speculating here, but they're going to crush it. I think by 2025, the fourth quarter, they get to about 25% rural market share. And all they need to get to fair share is 33%. Right? In that environment, you have to look at 100%, which is the total, and then you split that up between the three MNOs that are there. That's 33% for each. That means 33% gets you fair share in the rural environment. And T-Mobile will need, they'll need some additional percentages to get there, but I think they eventually will get there. They're getting more competitive in those parts, and the numbers show it. Expect to double market share in enterprise in 5 years. The same. That's a new addressable market. That is something that they need to further grow the company. And they're telling us they're already getting there at current win rates. They're not talking about next quarter's win rates. They're not talking about next year's win rates. They're talking about the current win rates that they are seeing. And they haven't even announced all of them. I can tell you that right now. I've been speaking to people behind the scenes. They have not announced all of the companies that they're already doing dealings with, deals that they have already closed. And some of those just aren't big enough to be announced publicly, so we won't hear about them. But they're going to get to that 20%. The win rates right now already show that they're going to get to that 20%. And once again, to get to fair share, they'll need to get to 33%. So all of these numbers are conservative. So there's further upside to this growth. And then bring competition to the 90 billion broadband market, targeting 7 to 8 million customers in 5 years. The current win rates, they just hit 1 million customers. So by the end of the year, once they get to, I think they can do easily over 2 million by the end of this year. And again, they're telling us once again that at the current growth rate, they get to the 7 to 8 million. Possibly more. There's a very high possibility that they grow more than the 7 to 8 million. Some are telling me they think 9, some are telling me they think 10 million. So to kind of put that just in a brief perspective, to get from the 210 million population covered with N41, which is the main driver for the speed and performance and the growth of fixed wireless access, to get from that 210 to the 260 million population covered by the end of the year, they are saying they're gaining an additional 36 million pop footprint that's going to get N41 this year in the rural environment. So just to do some basic math here on this video for you guys, just really quickly. So 36 million, even if they just do, let's say they take 5% share of that 36 million, and that's a low number. 1 second. Give me 1 second here. Just 5% of that 36 million is 1.8 million. And that's addressable, and that's more addressable households, because in the rural environment, you're not going to run into those large capacity pockets that issues that you are in the urban core. So you're going to be able to sell just about to all the houses that are in these areas. So they're going to take some serious share, and I expect that to reflect in the 2023 numbers. But they're going to start, I think they're going to start posting 400,000 or 500,000 ads per quarter. So now you may still question, well, wait a minute, how are they hitting these numbers and the network is still not as expansive and as large as the competition? Well, they're growing that footprint each and every quarter. So as of the recording of this video, yes, T-Mobile may still not have the coverage in your smaller market and rural area the way you may like it, or comparing it to AT&T and Verizon. But I can tell you guys, it's coming. And the reason I say that is because what Mike Sievert said recently, he acknowledged that, like I said, if he doesn't cover the highway out to the factory or the highway out to the relatives' town, they don't win. And they're acknowledging that. So that means they know, like Neville said recently, their coverage has to be second to none to really compete in those areas. So they have to co-locate and expand the network very, very similar to the competition, toe to toe. Mike Sievert was asked a qualifier, and he said a question, and he said yes. Then he gave, where it matters. And some people kind of took that the wrong way. Why couldn't he just say yes and just move on? But the United States is so large that T-Mobile may have large amounts of customers in pockets where Verizon and AT&T don't. And that's where we see the portion of where T-Mobile will have coverage, but AT&T and Verizon don't. And then we'll have pockets of where Verizon and AT&T will have coverage, but T-Mobile doesn't. So that'll just kind of be a back and forth thing. But eventually, T-Mobile will start gaining traction on that. You will start seeing a better network, even in the rural areas. And the numbers are supporting that. If the network was not there right now, that rural footprint, that growth that they're already getting now would not be there. It would all be churn. People would leave. If the network is not working, people are going to leave. It's that simple. Nobody stays on a network that doesn't work. That's a paperweight. Sprint experienced that. They found out the hard way. So I just wanted to, this video is probably a bit longer, but I just wanted to address that it's going to come with time. So give it some time, but the numbers are showing that the growth is there. They're growing. They're taking share. So like I said in another video, Verizon and AT&T are going to have to start looking at this. They're going to have to start competing. US Cellular is going to have to start competing more too. C-Spire, Viero, they're all going to have to start competing. T-Mobile is expanding Nebraska natively. They're not looking to further roam. They're not looking to further strike agreements. They're looking to expand that natively. I've been told this. I've seen some of the build-out plans. They're going big in that state. Vermont, Maine, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, they're going big. And that's with time. So they'll get bigger this year, they'll get bigger next year, they'll grow in 24, they'll grow in 25, they'll keep growing each year. Now the competition will do that too, but eventually the returns are going to be diminishing because the United States is only so big. If Verizon, AT&T get to 3.7 million, for example, with time, T-Mobile will likely get there too eventually. And then everybody will just have the same coverage, and then we'll have to see what happens then. I mean, of course, I'm speculating here, but that's kind of what I mean by, eventually it's just going to be diminishing in return. For me, I can take T-Mobile, for example, from here, travel across I-10, I-8, all the way through California and have no problems. And I pay less than I would on Verizon, where I would likely have the same coverage. Now, is the performance going to be different? Perhaps. Verizon and AT&T are filling in density on those coverage parts, but eventually, like I said, T-Mobile will also do that. Especially with this mid-band, they're going to need more sites in between other sites. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Just wanted to make this video to kind of get this info out there for the new viewers and subscribers, that this is happening right in front of our eyes. Just many aren't fully realizing it yet. So make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to the channel, follow my social media outlets for more updates and interactions. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.